A heat advisory in effect for a good chunk of the Denver metro area since we're looking at one last day of record heat when the big cool down arrives.
With everyone cranking up the AC, it's putting pressure on the power grid. Some of the ways to cut your cooling costs. Plus, the hot, dry, and smoky weather has us under an ozone action alert day. Push underway to improve Colorado's air quality. And we start with a live look from our Mile High camera with a view of downtown Denver. Another hot and hazy September day here in the Mile High city. Denver 7 meteorologist Stacy Donaldson starting us off here in studio. Stacy, another day of this heat. Is there an end in sight, though?
Only one more. Yes, only one more. We have the light at the end of the tunnel. Tomorrow, cooler air will be moving in, but a heat advisory in effect again today. Temperatures near 100 degrees all the way from Denver up into northeastern Colorado. Yesterday, we broke a record with a high of 99, and today we'll be in the upper 90s again. But we also have high fire danger here across eastern Colorado and this ozone alert day here for the Front Range. It looks smoggy and hazy out there. Not only high ozone levels, but also smoke from wildfires burning outside the state. So highs today in the upper 90s into the triple digits. Is going to be another hot one, but there is a cold front headed our direction, and that's going to change things for us tomorrow. But as a reminder, in a hot car in just 10 minutes, we can go from 100 outside to 120 in the car. So just be prepared to not leave anything in the car that may melt or be injured. So we wanted to remind you of that, but it looks like cooler air is on the way. I'll tell you exactly when coming up.
All right, Stacy, thank you. This is a live look from Lookout Mountain. You can once again see those hazy skies there over the city. The hot weather here in Colorado definitely impacting the air quality here in the metro area. An ozone alert action day is in place, and it's days like today that highlight the need to improve our air quality. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is following the efforts this morning to clean up the bad air.
So the purpose of this morning's meeting was to really try and get people interested in our air quality and more so get them interested in how we can go about fixing it. So this meeting was structured in a really interesting way, this so-called cafecito model where people kind of drop in, they chat amongst each other, they talk about things like the ozone, and then of course they get their questions answered too. One of the dozens of community members who ended up showing up, she had a concern about the air quality in the Globeville neighborhood. So take a listen to what that concern was and what the answer was as well.
I'm just worried because we have everything here. We have constructions, we had the I-70 highway, we have Purina, we have a lot of things going on that affect us, and we don't have enough green canopy.
Our current state implementation plan does include controls for a lot of different types of industrial facilities, particularly through what is known as our reasonably available control technology requirements.
And the conversations surrounding our air quality, they don't end at today's meeting. There's going to be another really important meeting happening next week. That's when officials plan to dive into things about how we go about meeting those Clean Air Act standards and even how we go about seeing the state's progress when it comes to reducing haze. So some really important aspects there about our air quality. Of course, we'll keep you updated on how that meeting goes as well. We're live in Denver this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Yeah, those near 100-degree temperatures definitely highlighting the need for that improvement. Veronica, thank you. And with everyone cranking up the AC, it's putting pressure on the power grid. Xcel Energy had to lock tens of thousands of Colorado customers out of their smart thermostats to ease the strain. Those customers had opted into a money-saving program with the company. For the rest of us, not in that program, we wanted to settle the age-old question. Is it better to leave your AC on throughout the day or turn it off when you leave your house? A PhD student at CU Boulder's School of Engineering says the answer is simple. Turn it off.
It saves you a lot of energy to not run your AC when you're away from home. There are a couple concerns about the immediate impacts of everyone turning on their AC at 5 p.m. every day. That are maybe a little bit more nuanced, but overall it will in fact save you energy.
And there are tax incentives to make your home more energy efficient thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act. You can get a rebate for appliances and tax credits on things like windows, doors, and insulation. The heat is forcing dozens of Denver public schools to let out early or stay closed for the third day in a row now. It's because those buildings don't have AC. Thompson and Poudre schools are also closing early. You can find a list of school closures or ones letting out early on denver7.com. Well, the high temps also impact our pets, especially if they're older or overweight. Flat-faced breeds like pugs and bulldogs have a lower tolerance to heat as well. So if you do take your dog out in the heat, watch for the signs of heat stroke like rapid panting, thick, sticky saliva, weakness or dizziness, and vomiting and diarrhea as well. Counselors are at East High School in Denver today after 2 boys were shot near that school. The shooting happened yesterday afternoon during a fight at the Carla Madison Rec Center across the street from the school. Witnesses from neighboring businesses came out to help the victims. All new at 11, police say the victims are a 20-year-old man and a juvenile. Both are still hospitalized. Officials say they are still gathering evidence and conducting interviews. All right, let's talk about those Denver Broncos. They will be back at practice today after taking a day off yesterday. And today we expect to hear from Russell Wilson about going back to Seattle to open the season. A big question, how will Russell be received by Seahawks fans after playing for 10 years with the team and winning them a Super Bowl? Seattle team captain Tyler Lockett weighed in.
At the end of the day, you got to be able to separate the man from the player. And you got to understand that everybody's trying to do what's best for them. And all you can do is hope that they win and cheer for them to win. And so, I mean, that's really how I feel about it. I think that Seattle should cheer him on, for everything that he's done, helped bring a Super Bowl to this community, all that different type of stuff. Like, he's an amazing guy.
The Broncos-Seahawks game is Monday night right here on Denver 7. Our pregame coverage starts at 5, kickoff is at 6:15, and then we will have a postgame show right after. To major international news, Queen Elizabeth is under medical supervision. Her doctors say they're concerned for her health. Members of the royal family have traveled to Scotland to be with the 96-year-old monarch as well. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest on the Queen's condition.
96-year-old Queen Elizabeth is being watched closely by her medical team, with her doctor saying in a rare statement that they're concerned for her health. The announcement comes a day after the Queen canceled a virtual meeting of her Privy Council and was told to rest.
I've never heard them use the word concern, and the doctors are concerned about the Queen's health. I've been hearing from other sources too that the situation has got worse lately in the last day or so. So I do think that we have to be prepared for what could come next.
Buckingham Palace saying she is now resting comfortably at Balmoral Castle, the royal estate in Scotland, where she's been on summer break since July. Her family now joining her there amid this news. Prince Charles, Camilla, and Princess Anne all at the Queen's side. Her sons, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, on their way, as well as her grandsons, Prince William and Prince Harry, along with Meghan Markle.
She's in a place that she would like to be, surrounded by her family, and I'm sure the doctors are doing everything they can to make her as comfortable as possible.
On Tuesday, the Queen appointed the UK's new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, at the castle. The Prime Minister tweeting today the whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace. Since the end of the year, the palace says she's been suffering from episodic mobility problems. The Queen marked 7 decades on the throne this year. She is the world's oldest monarch and the longest ruling monarch in British history. So many across the Commonwealth and around the world closely watching this news, the royal family's website even appearing to temporarily crash following the announcement. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made an unannounced visit to Ukraine today. He met with Ukraine's president and visited a children's hospital there. It's his second trip to the country since the start of the war with Russia back 7 months ago. Blinken announced the Biden administration is giving Ukraine another $2 billion in aid. The White House has given Ukraine more than $13 billion since that war began. Back here at home, parts of downtown Boulder will soon go back to the way they were before the pandemic. An emergency order allowed restaurants on a section of Pearl Street between 9th and 11th Streets for outdoor dining. Well, that's no longer in effect. The area will reopen to traffic, and many of the restaurant owners told Denver 7 they're happy about that. A meeting to discuss the change is set for next Thursday. Construction is now underway on 6 blocks of Denver's 16th Street Mall. Crews are working their way from Market Street to Civic Center Station, block by block. The project will move the buses closer together down the middle of the street, creating more sidewalk space. But there's lots of infrastructure work also being done underground, including water, sewer, and gas lines.
This project is a major infrastructure investment and it's long overdue. The infrastructure on the mall is failing, so it's time for us to invest in this project. It also is a huge economic driver. It's bringing hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment to downtown, thousands of jobs, and so this is a really important time to be investing in downtown Denver.
Each block will be under construction for about 18 months. Businesses are still open and the buses are still running. Between Wazee and Welton Streets, the buses are using 15th and 17th to avoid that construction. Well, going to school and learning in general has changed a lot since the pandemic. Coming up, a Denver company is making college degrees more attainable. And be prepared for another interest rate hike. The Fed is planning to raise rates again.